This portion of New Day Northwest is sponsored by IBS Treatment Center.
Welcome back, everybody, to Feel Good Friday. The next topic is a medical issue that affects more than 50 million Americans and can be debilitating. Irritable bowel syndrome, or IBS, is a gastrointestinal disorder that often goes mistreated or even untreated. Today, we're discussing this with Dr. Stephen Wangen, the founder of the IBS Treatment Center. Welcome to you.
Thank you.
Good to meet you. And I'm really glad that you're willing to say that this has been a problem that you've struggled with in your own life, and that's important for a couple different reasons, but tell me more about that.
Well, I had IBS, and I would do what people do. I'd go to the doctor, I'd look for answers, and they would say, well, you know, we've run a bunch of tests, and everything looks okay. And
we don't know what to do.
Right, so you're fine. And I said, wait a minute, I'm not fine. I don't feel fine. Something's got to be wrong. And it seemed to me that if I went to the doctor and said my bowel irritated me, and they told me, well, you have irritable bowel syndrome, that wasn't a very good solution. So I made it a mission to figure out what was really going on, because I wasn't going to give up. And I did. I worked on it and worked on it, and I figured out I could solve the problem. And when I figured that out, I said there must be a solution for other people. So I went into that as a specialty and discovered that I could help people who had digestive problems. And
that sort of gives me two thoughts. One is that there's hope that you can get better. And secondly, that if you are suffering from this problem, you're not alone, even though this is one of those things that we don't always volunteer or talk to other people about. So you think you're the only one struggling with this. But let's talk about some of the symptoms so people can identify what it is that IBS sufferers are experiencing.
Sure, it's not that complicated, really, although sometimes people think it is. But if you have constipation or diarrhea or abdominal pain or gas or bloating or any combination of those 5 things, it could be any variety of that, and you've had it for several months, and essentially there's nothing else wrong, you know, you're getting checked out for other things, and they say, well, then you've got IBS, and that's it. And then you end up being told, well, maybe take some fiber or work on your stress. It must be in your head. And
it's pretty frustrating to hear that, right? The statistics behind IBS, when I found out about this, I was really astonished. Let's talk about this. This is one of the top reasons that Americans miss work.
Yeah, amazingly enough, other than the common cold, this is the reason people miss work. And I get patients who've lost their jobs because of it, or they can't go in and have a meeting until noon because they've got to take care of things in the morning and they can't get out of the house. And it's incredibly frustrating. It's truly
I can't imagine.
amazing.
Everything you do would be affected.
And
it affects 15% of our total population, so that is 50 million Americans to some degree or another.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? Because we don't talk about our digestion.
No idea.
We don't talk about poop.
No, exactly. We don't, and we should, because like the book says, everybody poops. Among the top 10 reasons we see a doctor, IBS.
Yeah, well, of course, if this many people are suffering, then they're going to be going seeking answers,
right?
And they're not getting them.
And $10 billion in annual direct medical costs because of this.
Yeah, and there's been clear studies on that. It's a huge, huge issue.
That is amazing. So what is it that you eventually discovered? How do you help patients?
Well, one of the things I've learned, the most important thing I've learned, is that each IBS patient is different. I've seen thousands of these patients, and I don't know at first how I'm going to treat them because they're all unique. They all have a different background, a different history. And there are hundreds of reasons that you can have these problems, that you can be suffering. And I think that's the challenge, is that every patient needs to be approached uniquely, because if you try to give a one-size-fits-all answer, it's not going to work. And so we have to do that detective work, to spend the time with the patient, to start to narrow things down. And that's where being an IBS specialist really comes into play. It's so helpful to be able to spend time with somebody who can do that.
Well, that's a good thought, because it's sort of a basket of symptoms, right? But it could be any number of things that led you there, and somebody has to take the time to figure that out. And I know you guys are all busy, and I think people worry about, I'm going to go into the doctor, he's got 5 minutes, and then I have to go. So it really is something that when you can take time with people, that makes a big difference in investigating the source of the problem.
Exactly, and that's how we've set it up. We have to spend a lot more than 5 minutes with the patient. It takes a lot of time to really understand what their situation is. It takes a lot of unique kind of testing and things that we need to do to really focus us down and things they're not getting elsewhere.
What would you say to an IBS sufferer or patient right now about the chances of being able to get better, to get well?
Well, I want people to know that there's hope, that they really can get better. We see that every day. We see our patients get better, and it's so exciting. They've been frustrated for so long. They've seen so many doctors, and they think, there's no way, there's just no way that anybody can help me, and there really is. There's a lot of hope, and I want those people to know that.
Well, that's great, because it's a depressing thing to have a chronic illness, and so just to know that there are some, some specialists who can help you through, guide you through, is really important. Thank you so much, and thank you for sharing your story with us as well. To learn more about how the IBS Treatment Center can help you, please check our website for a link to theirs, and then Dr. Wangen is staying to answer your questions a little bit later on the show on our doctors panel.